Hey traders, Chris Pulver here with Market Traders Institute. It is July 22nd through the 26th. It's a Forex and Financial Market Weekly Outlook. Let's go ahead and get started. Take a look at the calendar for the week. This is high and medium impact. Actually, if I just go to high impact, you'll notice it's a pretty barren week as far as high impact goes. In fact, nothing on Monday, nothing on Tuesday. Everything out of the Eurozone on Wednesday with PMI numbers from France and Germany. RBA, that's Reserve Bank of Australia, Governor Lowe speaking, refinancing rate. So we will have a bonus session for those in the Flex Trading Room this week. And classes, I'll send an invite out. Having a live session on Thursday at 8:30. We'll start the session at 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Mario Draghi's press conference. So we hopefully will see some decent movement out of the Eurozone this week, or out of the Euro. And Draghi hopefully leads us to some nice volatility. Again, that is Thursday morning, 8:30. We have the refinancing rate or the rate decision at 7:45. Usually that's not the mover in the market. Usually it is Draghi at 8:30. So our live sessions will be centered around Draghi's press conference, which usually takes the microphone just around 8:30 or shortly after. We give it about 5 to 10, 15 minutes, and we usually see some decent volatility going for about an hour, hour and a half. So we'll do that live together on Thursday, and then Friday we have advanced GDP for the U.S., but you can see it's a pretty light calendar. If I go back to last week, more data. If I go to next week, which is going to be end of the month. Wow, look at that. End of July, huge, significant week. And keep in mind that the FOMC rate, take a look. You can see that they actually had the forecast in right now. Next week's FOMC statement, or the Fed rate decision, is projecting a rate cut by 25 basis points. So we might see some noise this week out of the Euro, but this is going to be a very important week. And look at how much more news we have next week than this week. So let's take our week, one day at a time, and we'll just go ahead and focus on this week and trade in the present, see what we have lined up, and certainly get ready for next week as well. But let's go into the markets and take a look. So we'll start in alphabetical order here. Taking a look at futures this morning, we had everything pretty flat. Futures market, going to it right now, we have everything fractionally just sitting around zero, really. Dow Jones just flat, S&P just above, NASDAQ. I mean, you can see the volatility going into the session, but we're just kind of clawing back. Gold continues to stay steady, well above 1,400. Silver kicking strong at 16 plus, $16.41. That's awesome. So glad that we're long gold, glad that we're long silver. These are, to me, are going to continue to be good long-term opportunities to make some dollars, whether you're actually holding the physical commodity gold and silver or you're trading the paper. Either way, it's a good trade, and I like where the price is going. Oil has dropped steadily since just above $60. We're down towards 56. And I think, between that level, we have a nice wedge on oil. We'll probably see what happens in August, September. Obviously, a lot of seasonality with oil, but when summer comes to an end, that big wedge is going to have to go somewhere. So it's either bearish or either bullish. We'll figure it out. But right now, we're kind of stuck between $54, $55 support and $60 resistance. As far as the U.S. market open today, we have a little bit to project on. But again, as they say, amateurs open and pros close. So we'll have to see what Monday's day gives us. But last week, the Dow Jones did close negative for the week, the S&P as well, the NASDAQ as well. So Dow Jones was down 0.65% for the week, S&P was down 1.23% for the week, and the NASDAQ was down 1.19% for the week. So again, all markets are watching the Fed next week on July 31st. Honestly, I can't remember the last time that the Fed had a rate decision on the final day of the month, and that's a big calendar coming in next week. So again, we're not going to make light of it. We're going to trade for this week and make some pips, and then go into next week and, of course, have a lot to focus on with a lot of news. But all eyes are going to be on the Fed and if they, in fact, cut rates like the market is anticipating. So let's get into the currency pairs. We'll see how the stock market closes today. Let's go into Aussie CAD. Actually, take a look at our currency strength chart before. Let me refresh this to live. We have the New Zealand dollar and the Aussie still on top. So the Kiwi, for whatever reason, is just loving this little lull right now, and they are not shifting at all. So the Kiwi is still sitting at 1.5%. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because the dollar's softened up a little bit, and we tend to see commodity pairs favor that dollar weakness. So the Aussie has been steady and stable and strong, as has the New Zealand dollar, but you see the New Zealand has gotten the upper hand. So all of last week, in fact, we saw several days out of last week, the New Zealand was the strongest currency pair. Notice that the CAD is the weakest. So oil's drop from $60 down to $56 has hurt the CAD as well, but we also were waiting for several weeks for the technicals to line up where the CAD was going to get weaker, and sure enough, we're seeing it right now. So everything else is sitting around baseline. Here's the JPY, this is the pound, the dollar and the euro are sitting together, and then we have the Swiss. So commodity pairs doing pretty well, New Zealand and Aussie, but the CAD taking a hit because of oil. We'll continue to monitor the price action this week. So let's start at the beginning. Here's Aussie CAD. We're at 92.33. Take a look at our price action chart. We are on the right side of the trend line as well. We are bullish on this Aussie CAD, and is that it? Is that our pullback right there? Come on, man. I suppose I should have been looking to get long today, right around that 91.80, 91.70. Let me see what that low was. I missed that opportunity this morning. That low was 91.76. Let me take a look at a smaller time frame to see could I have found that trade. Man, it's right there. It is right there. Let's go to the daily encapsulation. Yep. So that is, well, that's 1 in the morning to 5 in the morning. I'm up at 6. I would have had to literally get up and take that trade first thing. So let's see what happens. I mean, it's long. I like being bullish on this currency pair. I think we have a lot of room to the upside, especially if you're willing to put a stop loss in. So from the stop area, I mean, if this is your left shoulder, head to neckline, right shoulder, and we're breaking through the neckline, this should be heading up towards this green area around 9,300. So if we do have a chance to see a pause, or even a pullback, even if it's another pullback towards 91.75, let's see if we can get this level to consolidate, and then we can look for a breakout towards 93. So I'd like to stay long in this one versus just throwing in a trade right now. We may even visit this one first thing tomorrow in the Flex Trading Room live and see if this one goes up towards 9,300 and try to get an entry. But I just don't want to settle for a high trade. I mean, this is 50 to 60 pips higher than what we had the low at this morning. So that's really the full daily trading range. If we can pull back, try to get an entry maybe at 92, maybe again a rebalance at 91.75, we'll find out. So I'd rather be patient, but the good thing is we're on the right side of the trend line. Neckline is breaking. Let's see if we can get a bounce here to trade this north. Aussie, Swiss. Swiss is still kind of hanging out in the middle strength-wise today. I'm still long in this one and still holding, even if this has to come back down and retest lows. Even if this is up, pull back, equal lows, and then we go up towards 70.50 or higher, I'm holding on to Aussie, Swiss bullish. So I'll keep that one. Aussie, Yen. Are we above that neckline yet? I think we're very close to it, but we're not out of the yellow box. This is a small range. I think this is only about 50 pips. So, nope, it's bigger than that. It's about 90 pips to 100 pips. And we want to continue to monitor the Japanese yen because with the big news coming up next week with the Fed, we might see a Japanese yen trend piggybacking off of the Fed. So that being said, let's watch for this yellow box to just make a clean breakout. If it does break higher, we can certainly follow that direction and see if the JPY sustains that run. We're going to go after this yellow target, this yellow box around 77.60, and see if it offers more than that. If it pulls back and watches this level, I would certainly be interested in buying low with a tight stop and see if this wants to go any higher. So if we trade the range, one thing I would favor is buying low. If we can buy low, stop area here, and get this thing to rally, that'd be excellent. If we have to buy at the high, you know, that's not the end of the world. We would buy at the high or buy a breakout. We would put our stop area halfway in between this range and then look for this to sustain the breakout to the upside. So there's still ways to make pips on it, but we have to break this yellow box first. All right, next is Aussie New Zealand. This one is coming back into full balance. We're still in that big daily channel. We are going just below the 104 level. This yellow box here around 103.75 and 103.40. I'm actually sitting with pending buys right there. We have this week's pivot available. That little pocket from last week was hit on the news. I would watch for, actually that was a channel high right there. So if we see this thing stab the lows or find the low, look for a simple trend line break, I'm definitely going long in this pair. In fact, I'm going to add this into the workspace right now. And let's see if we can just break that trend line. If we break that trend line or get on the right-hand side, we have permission to start looking to buy. And even if we trade the channel, this should still be a nice little trade to the upside. And from there, I'm still long-term looking for the bullish breakout towards 108 or 110. But for right now, we can trade this little channel, which is around 150 pips. So that one still looks pretty good. Aussie dollar, we're at 7043. This is getting a little bit firmer. Are we on the right side of the trend line? Let's find out. So there's Aussie dollar. Not quite on the right side of the channel. It's trying. If this makes a push next week or into this week, if the price action starts to set up where the dollar's getting weaker ahead of the news next week, this is an area to trade it. Look for a break, look for a pullback, look for a go. Stop area can be back in this channel, stop area back in this area. But I think long looks pretty favorable as long as we don't have a nasty bearish close and that pushes us back down. So let's make sure we break out and close up here and then use this area to trade accordingly to the upside. That would be Aussie dollar, CAD Swiss. 7478. This one's fallen nicely since we took profit at 7600, and I'm happy that we did. And guess what's happening? It's falling right back to that gap. We still have really nice support down here at 74, which we do have a pending buy. You can see that right there. Pending buy at 74. We're just going to trade this range back up towards 76. I know some of you actually sold it. Many of the flex traders sold it here, or were looking at that resistance level to sell it once we took profit on the buy trade, and that's actually working out nicely. But what I opted to do is I didn't want to sell the CAD Swiss, but I did want to buy the Euro CAD, which is actually getting into profit now, or getting close to it. So this is all working out where CAD Swiss is dropping, Euro CAD is rallying. So that's working out pretty well. We have a pending buy to just stay with the range here at 74 to 76. CAD Yen. See if this one's finished that symmetry leg. I don't think that it has. We are now on the right-hand side of the trend line. As the JPY pair, however, I'm not going to jump in and trade this. It does look enticing. We probably will come back into this zone. Now that I look at this candle, we probably have some levels in here that price could fall back to. Looks around 81.60 or so. But I'm not going to take that trade. I'm just going to wait on the JPY pairs for right now. Swiss yen, we're at 109.91, still in the middle of that big channel. Just trading right in the middle of everything. This is hard to get. We haven't officially hit support. We haven't officially hit resistance. These were our opportunities where we were selling here, buying here, selling here, that we took profit. I'm glad we did, because, man, this thing went sideways for a lot of days. This is now like 13 to 15 candles. Volatility has clearly picked up, but yet there's kind of no definite destination here on the Swiss yen. So I'd say we just leave it alone for now. Euro Aussie, 59.21. Aussie stays firm. We are down to that 18127 zone. You can see the last 3 days, in fact, have been sideways. So what is likely going to happen? With this sideways movement, looks like we should see sideways movement either continue to stay sideways, that looks like more breakouts to the downside, or we have a brief sideways move, perhaps a pullback here during Draghi on Thursday this week, and then more weakness coming ahead, or maybe just a firmer Aussie ahead after the Euro maybe has a pop-up. We'll find out. But I still like selling Euro Aussie to the downside. I just want a better entry. Okay, we sold it way up here at 62 and 6,300. I know many of you actually sold it off the 382 and the 50, or at least a trendline break, and have taken this for the last 200 pips or so to the downside. Monthly pivot at 58.50, and previous lows, obvious support here at 5,700. So stay bearish on it, but don't take bad trades. Right? I mean, wait for it to go sideways and offer a breakout, or wait for it to pull back and hit previous resistance, or in this case, support to become resistance, and then take another leg lower. So we'll look for that this week in the trading room. Euro Canadian, we're at 47.11. This is moving well to the upside. We should be very close to being in profit now. We're on the right-hand side of the trend line, so all looks good on the Euro CAD. And once we get back towards, we're going after 4,800. If we get to 4,800 or 4,850, we're going to take some profit on this Euro CAD on a few positions. Euro Swiss. Euro Swiss hanging out of the round number 1.10. Now remember, we did break this support. All right. Does that really change anything? No, because the long-term picture is still a bear crown that's coming to an end. So A, B, C, this is the D extension. So all this noise is just fulfilling the D extension at 109.70. If it goes a little bit lower, we have, this is a big level right here. This is another big level right here around 108. So I have chosen this trade as a medium to long-term trade. I'm in. I've built a small position here right around 11100. I will have an entry here at 109.75 and another entry here around 108. I'm just going to keep my levels spaced out. Nice big support level, and medium term, once we get on the right-hand side of this trend line, we should be heading back to 115, possibly setting up a reversal pattern, and then back up towards 120. So this entire currency pair could play out with, one big pattern right here that's taking its time and finally coming to an end, and then one big pattern that sets up again. This would be a crown pattern. This would be a head and shoulders pattern. So I'm looking ahead, of course, and projecting this price action, but I think that's how this will work, medium term, long term. So I'm going to stay bullish on this Euro Swiss and just let it do its thing. But 109.75 is the level to watch, as well as this French election gap from 2017, which is around 108. So I do have entries there at those levels. I'll keep them, and I'm going to hang on to this even in the medium term. And I think our destination would be 1450 to 1500. That's target one. If we get up to 1500, even better. Euro Pound. Euro Pound, we had some a glimpse of promise last week. We got to like 89.60. And the good thing is we're sitting here on the backside of the trend line. So let's move these over. These are some sell trades we have taken on the euro pound and just kind of hanging out. Nice entry at the top at 90.39. And we'll see what happens this week. But if it's euro weakness or euro strength, you know, this will be affected. If it's euro weakness, then this euro pound comes into to play for profit very quickly. If it's euro strength, then it's going to be right back up to the highs, and we'll see how that plays out. But we have been waiting for this trend line to break nice and patiently for the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. It finally happened. We're on the backside of it right now. Let's see if price can sustain this move. This is also setting up with a right trader strategy. Did we find the ribbon? That is the question. Let's check on the 4-hour. So right here, check the 4-hour chart, and we did find the ribbon. All right, so this is no longer a reversion trade. I'll also check on the pound Swiss. I don't think the pound Swiss found it. Not even close. All right, so euro pound touches the red ribbon. Pound Swiss does not. But this should still be 1, 2, 3 perhaps into this week, or if it comes up for another double top. This was a long, overextended move. You know, the more divergence, more oversold. I'd like this as a double top and a price pattern that we can still sell from. So I'll still watch and see if we can get this trade to get into profit for us around 8,800 or lower. All right, moving on from there. Euro yen, I believe this one is still sideways in a yellow box. Yes, right at the lows. Okay, let's see if we have a sentiment strength line break. Ooh, we do. Okay, so I could take the trade right now because we have a sentiment strength line U-turn. However, that's the U-turn. That's the stop area. So what we can look at here, this is a good confirmed U-turn. If the stop is below around 120.81, we're only looking at like a 20 to 30 pip stop. Let me see. Let me check price action one more time. This is tempting. I might take the trade during this or just wait for class tomorrow. We are on the right-hand side of the trend line. So here's what I think I'm probably going to do. Let's see how today's candle looks. What I might do is after the end of the day, if we close with an indecision candle, what I might look at is if price closes higher, then I'll take the trade here and the stop area below. If price closes lower, I'm not going to sell it. I'm just going to leave it alone. I want to buy this trade only and stay with this range and go up to the yellow box highs. So this is a decent trade. If we have indecision today, I'd look to buy the break above this indecision candle. So, but sentiment strength line is a nice confirmed price action move, but you can see that it's confirming after 5 or 6 days of bearishness, and we're just kind of U-turning here at the bottom. So with an indecision candle, we might just buy it above, which is fine. It's not that much risk. We're only looking at like 40 to 50 pips of risk for a trade to the upside. Even if we buy it at the high here, we're still going after almost 200 pips. So the risk reward is very much in our favor. Euro New Zealand, 65.50, and we are on now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of 10 candles have been bearish. We have blasted through the 18127 with not even a pause. So again, I'm in favor of selling Euro Aussie. I'm in favor of selling Euro New Zealand. I know traders that are in this and still short, which is fantastic. Keep moving your stop loss. If you are not in it and wanting to participate, I understand. I'm right with you. Now look at the 127. Now look at the 18. Now look at the B low. Anything that pulls back into these areas, we can still look for sell trades and try to get this going down lower. All right? If it just keeps going, okay, fine. There's not much we can do here other than chase it, which I'm not really a fan of. So if we get a pullback, we can sell it. If we don't, we'll revisit the lows and see if we can get something that we can buy low in the short term. But hopefully we get another sell trade on the Euro New Zealand. Euro dollar, sideways. 12.17, it's sideways. I would say, well, look, we're in the trade, right? We're in 11.95. We're in at 13.15 or 13.19. We do have some kind of medium-term plan on this. With the dollar coming up, especially if the dollar is weaker, we're going to at least trade the range back up to these highs, and hopefully that we see a nice clean breakout, and this thing is destination 117 or higher. 117 would be awesome. We're going to build this thing up and stack these trades up. We'll have all sorts of ways to compound our gains. Even if price is only going to move from let's just say 112 to 117, that's 500 pips. But if we can translate that into 1,000 pips of profit, we will love every second of that. We just need to see a bit more confirmation. It might not be this week, right? We have Draghi on Thursday. Maybe he delivers some decent movement. If it's firmer on the euro, Draghi can deliver this to the upside, and then next week's combination with the Fed delivers that. Draghi could also deliver Some bad news for the Eurozone, and we get profit on something like Euro Pound, and this comes back into, run these lows and then finish indecision and then go back up next week. So I still like the technical outlook of Euro Dollar long, but I think the dollar's going to have to play a big part in that. So I'm still staying on Euro Dollar right now. 1700 is my destination. It's it's kind of a medium-term trade for now, but it's going to get way more interesting next week with the Fed. Pound pairs. Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie has come down to the D extension. You can see a brief pullback. I just copy and pasted this line so they're the same angle. If we have this one balance or play on the trend line like it did here, you had 5 or 6 days of indecision or pullbacks, and if we have the same thing here, then we can look for another opportunity to sell. Again, use that 1.8, use that 1.27. Those are invisible support resistance levels, so that could be another pullback zone. But we still want to say destination is 173 or 172. So we're still looking to sell Pound Aussie as well. Pound Canadian dollar is 63.68. This one's heading up to fulfill that 4-hour right trader strategy and looking much, much better. All right, so let me take a look here at right trader. You can see the ribbon. We are blue and we're staying blue. We only have, well, actually, we still have another 100 pips or so to go. From current price to the red ribbon, we still have 136 pips. So if this is a 1, 2, 3, that finds the ribbon. And of course, we want to see, does this break into a corrective move all the way up towards 60? Like we said, I think we said this last week, 66.50. If we get to 66.50, we should take a hard look at this trade. Okay, because that would be, I mean, right now that's right around my break-even point. I don't need this trade to be extremely profitable. I would love for it to be profitable, of course, everybody does. But the reality is, we started this trade early, got back in. I mean, if this thing cannot turn into big profit for us, even getting back towards break-even, I'm fine with this trade at break-even. If we get to 66.55, we want to watch that because that's also a nice trendline break. So depending on price getting on the right-hand side, this could be the reversal sign for us. All right, but if it comes back into this zone, we can get out of this trade with break even, and if it comes back down for a double bottom or buy lows, we can buy this thing again. We don't have to sit here and get stuck in this trade with all of this previous support becoming firm resistance. So I think for right now, I mean, I'm in management mode on Pound CAD. If it gets back to break even, I think I'm just going to go ahead and try to grab either break even, plus 10, plus 20, just get out of the trade. Or, I can, of course, close one trade at a time. But the idea here is if I'm out, I'm out. I can always re-enter. So we'll keep an eye on 66.50 this week. Pound Swiss. This one I actually put in a pending buy at the low, and I got it. And it's right around that 22.70 zone that we did. In fact, I bought it again. Let me see what my low is here on my broker platform. 22.39. So I put in a second order at 22.39. It's a 4-hour oversold zone. I've still got my right trader set up for the oversold conditions and the bar extreme, which is way oversold. And we have almost 300 plus bars now, right? Yeah, 309. So we're well oversold with a very massive bar count. So I did throw in a small order. I would love to see the Swiss weaken up enough to let this trade happen and hit that ribbon. If it hits the ribbon, that's going to be in profit. We should be able to hang on to this a bit longer. Shallow pullback, any of those levels. If we get into this green box, that's going to be big money on this Pound Swiss. Same thing with the Euro Pound if we get to the downside as well. So we've got our profit levels already noted. Pound Yen, this one we can leave alone. Let's just leave those Yens alone for right now. Pound New Zealand, 84.23. We want to sell it. Hasn't really offered much of a pullback. Very similar to Pound Aussie, just keeps going. Right? I copy and pasted my trend lines. You can see how aggressive it's been to the downside. We've sold this thing way up here. Had in fact, less than 382 bounce. So very shallow pullback on this Pound New Zealand. Destination is the green line around 81.50. So look for opportunities to scalp, but don't be surprised to see some type of pause or pullback before you get that. Hopefully that's the case. If you don't get it, don't chase it. It's fine. We've taken a lot of profit there. I know a lot of you shorted it as well in that chunk. So don't chase it when it's nearing support levels. Pound dollar. We closed last week just above 2,500. So is this a head and shoulders pattern? Is that enough? Is that enough right here to give us a head and shoulders pattern? Left shoulder, head, neckline, right shoulder. Can we get this run to the upside this week? It's very possible. I'm still going to hang on to it. I love this neckline around 27.50. If we can run up to this, this would be a bigger pattern within another pattern. So I've seen this happen a lot. We have price patterns on a 4-hour chart that feed into a price pattern on a daily chart. So if the pound dollar does that, we're going to hold on to it towards 27.50. possibly take some profit there, but look for the longer term move to be to 3,000 or back up higher. Again, the dollar's going to feed in this trade as well. New Zealand CAD heading towards 8,900. That's what we said. That's our destination. We talked about a sell trade at 89.10, and that very much might be filled this week. So let me take a quick look at the New Zealand CAD, because if we do get filled on New Zealand CAD, I would love to see a pivot play. And yes, ooh, snap. We have 2 weekly pivots actually that are now available. So this was last week's pivot that was missed. This is this week's pivot that hasn't been touched yet. So if we get to 89.10, here's my plan. I'm going to take a small trade here and target the weekly pivot. If it goes any higher, I'll take another trade way up here, and I'll target the weekly pivot. I'm still going to go after the same destination. Long term, I do think this is a medium to long term short. So I like the trade at 89.10, and I know that we're selling in the in the move of this breakout, or this is a falling wedge. We talked about that would be bullish, which is fine. But when we have pivots available, and this is overstretched, this should drop off and balance. So even if we pull back halfway, that gets us some profit. So we do have a pending sell at 8,910 on New Zealand CAD. New Zealand Swiss. This one, surprisingly, isn't any higher. Aussie Swiss, same thing. I mean, the Swiss is firm enough that it's not any higher. We also have some pivots here. Look at this. Last week's pivot missed. This week's pivot available. So short term, we probably will see some, well, either New Zealand weakness. I would suspect New Zealand weakness in some way, shape, or form just to balance out. So let me get rid of that pivot right now. But a couple of trades there with some pivot opportunities on New Zealand pairs. New Zealand yen, we are still long, and I'm glad we are. We're looking at 73.50, and we're holding a trade from 72.19. So current price, the high today was 73.22. That puts us up over 100 pips on our trade. So I would say anything 100 plus protect. In fact, I'll take this and just put protect profit. So if we get back towards this yellow box, which is a gap from May, protect your profit or move some stop losses in place. What I'll probably do is take, I don't have a stop in right now, but if we get to this yellow box, I'll take a stop and put it below whatever the candle is. And just leave it there and turn it into a trailing stop. If it keeps going bullish and staying bullish, our stop stays with it. But we'll turn this into a trade that will protect some profit. But looking good. Glad we took it, and yellow box looks great. New Zealand dollar, 67.75. We're creeping up towards 68. This is the destination, 68.50 to 68.90. And stay bullish. If it gives a pullback right here, can we pull back to this area, look for a bounce? Can it give us a trend line break, look for a bounce? All those look pretty decent to the upside. Dollar CAD, we're at 31.10. So we closed out this one last week. If I'm not mistaken, I was in at 30.67. I think I took 20 or 21 pips out of this trade. Today, a much more decisive candle, 31.17. So if anybody's still hanging on to this one, if you weren't in profit at 30.67 and you're in profit now at 3,100, we're trading just above that. Remember, there's firm resistance at 31.40. I do think we can get there. We talked about this trade to come back to previous lows at 32.30. So between 32.30, which is this low right here, and this yellow box, which I'll extend over to around 3,300, I think there is upside potential on this dollar CAD. But because we didn't necessarily get the best entry, what we decided to do is protect 21 pips last week and then add a trade here at 3,030. So if this is still range bound, we get filled to the lows, tight stop, and see does this in fact go higher. But if it just goes now, and this is clearing 31.40 and going up towards 32, if you're still in this trade, hang on to it. It looks pretty good. Stop here is below 3,000. Okay, dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss, leave it alone. Dollar yen, 107.90, leave it alone. Dollar peso, 1907. Come on, dollar peso, let's get some legs. If we get back up, I'm going to set a chart alarm here at 19.31 because that would give me a few thousand pips to work with. 19.31, just give me the rate. Set a chart alarm. I'll just say a check P&L on this one and save it. So I want to know if price comes back and touches this wick high. That's also a bit of resistance, even though we should be heading back to this yellow box around 19.5. But because I have a small entry here and a small entry here, if we hit this level, that's in profit, that's in profit. I can take this trade and close for a win. I can keep this trade in at break even and see if I get lucky with the run to the yellow box. But what I'm trying to do is maybe lock in some profit this week if it allows me to. That way I don't have to deal with the peso prior to a rate decision, a big rate decision like next week. Dollar index, let's take a look there and start wrapping things up for the session. Dollar index, 12,297. Get out of the yellow box. That's all we need this thing to do. So we're going to watch this one closely. We'll talk about it all week. Are we coming back up to retest the highs? Are we ultimately going to break the lows? Break the lows and go. Hit the high, reject. Something's going to have to give us the price action we want. We are boxing this thing in with the range. We're also talking about the sentiment strength line. We need to see some lines below this yellow box. Let me get back to that. We have to see some lines below this yellow box. This is an 8-hour. So if we see the 8-hour close lower or the daily close lower, we want to be bearish on this dollar index. Let's take a look at silver. 1635, looking good to the upside. Oof, loving this alignment. Let's look at our price action. We had a falling wedge that we called back here. Great move to the upside and big pocket way back around 16.7, 16.8. So looks like we're getting there. And what I'd like to see is, you know, I'm happy that I'm in the trade. We're long way back here. We're long over here. Everything's looking great on silver. But the way we've gotten there recently is straight up. So we need to pause right here before the bulls say, okay, we're going again. Because the longer this goes straight up, the harder this is going to fall back down. So I would like to see this thing at least take a breath and pause right here to show that the bulls are still very much in control, because this gives buyers an opportunity to come back in and push this higher. But if we keep getting overstretched and overextended, we might take out this high and then start coming right back down towards 16 or 1590 and perhaps balance this move out. All right, but I still remain bullish on gold and silver in the medium and long term. Gold, I still like long gold. I still am bullish gold, but you can see a very different price behavior from gold to silver. Now, part of that might be because gold started the leg earlier and started to balance. Silver's been catching up. All right, but if we still maintain price above 1365, which is this major weekly resistance, then this remains bullish. I think this could still be bullish. We might see more noise going into this week, possibly next week with the Fed, but the buying interest is pretty firm. I would love to see gold up above 1500. 1500 to 1600 looks awesome, especially on just big technical levels. So my outlook hasn't changed. It's really all about gold staying above 1365, which you can see all the indecision here with lows around 1380. And then silver, just keep cooking. But if we pause a little bit, that's fine. I want to see those buyers get ready to jump back in. Bitcoin had a lot of volatility in Bitcoin. We're back up above 10. So we came all the way down to dip around 9,000. We're back up towards 10. Let's see how this plays out. If there's a little bit better structure here, I'm going to look for some type of correction. I was looking for an A, B, C, D correction. This might, move in subwaves or something like that towards the D extension around 73. But if I can get some cleaner structure this way, then honestly, that kind of looks like what it's doing. Now that I see that, if I connect the highs and I connect these lows, that channel actually looks like it's pretty legitimate. So this might be exactly what Bitcoin is doing right now. It's just kind of gathering some corrective nature. And then hopefully we're seeing some long-term bullishness. All right. And again, because it's BTC USD, if the dollar gets weaker, Bitcoin could have a good week this week and next week. We will see. Okay. So that's going to do it for this week. I mean, currency pairs that I'm liking, we're currently still long pound Swiss. We're short euro pound. We are long euro CAD. We're long pound CAD. We are looking for an opportunity. In fact, this week we might see a short on New Zealand CAD. That'll be a nice little trade. We're still long New Zealand Swiss, holding a position. We're still long Aussie Swiss. I'm looking for an opportunity to add to my Aussie New Zealand. We'll see what the dollar gives us on Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. And dollar CAD, if you're back in profit above 3,100, you can go ahead and move that stop to break even. Or if you're in with me at 30.65, we closed out last week. I'm looking for that re-entry at 30.30. But if we get above 3,140, dollar CAD should stay long to 3,200 or higher. And we'll take a look at those yen pairs. I think the yen is kind of the last on my priority list right now, but I'm watching. We're currently long on New Zealand yen, and if we get up to 100 plus pips, that's probably a good one just to protect at 100 pips. And we'll watch the box on Aussie yen. I'm going to look at that indecision candle on euro yen to see if we can take a buy low and trade that one up about 150 to 180 pips. And we'll just let it all fall into place. So, like I said, stay in the present moment this week. There's not a ton of news to drive the markets, but we'll see good trades. We'll hold the current positions. We'll make some pips, turn it into a good week. Next week's a big one. The good thing is we get to spend a lot of time together. This week we'll have a bonus session on Thursday. Let me go back to the calendar here. So Thursday this week on July 25th, we'll have a bonus session at 8 a.m., which actually is during our Flex Trading Room. All right, so we're just going to put it right into the Flex Trading Room, but it's going to be focused on the ECB in the morning at 8 o'clock. Draghi takes the microphone at 8:30 or shortly after. So that'll be a fun little live session. And then next week, we're going to have some live sessions sprinkled in. Looks like our Wednesday, especially at 2 in the afternoon. Thursday morning, we'll start early at 7 a.m. for the pound, and then go into the Flex Room on Thursday at 8 o'clock. And then Friday, we have non-farm payroll. So we'll have a bonus session on Friday the 2nd. So it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks, but that's why we're doing it together. So have a good day, everybody. Have a good week. Happy Monday. This is Chris Pulver from Market Traders Institute for the Weekly Outlook. Talk to you soon. Bye.